Well, Corey Gorechrist, DIEnecology Podcast. I'm your DIEnecologist. Here with a special guest today. It's James of Replacire. We're here to talk about the center that cannot be the center that cannot hold. Comes out June 21st on Season of Mist. First record in what, like 7 years, right? From Replacire.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's my first one with them.
Yeah, awesome.
So it took a long time to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess before we get started, really just talk about how you went from Black Crown Initiate to this, and I know you're still in Black Crown Initiate, of course. Love that band as well. So I guess talk about getting into Replacire and kind of acclimating yourself to the band.
Yeah, so I joined Replacire years ago, about 6 years ago, and that sort of came about in a time when Black Crown was not touring very much.
Yeah,
and so I wasn't necessarily actively looking for something to do.
Right.
But I did get an email from them one day. The old singer for Rivers of Nihil, Jake Diefenbach, had suggested them to me, or suggested me to them, rather.
Yeah.
And so they got an email from them one day, and the rest is history, pretty much. So,
oh yeah.
But I've got a few bands going on. That's always been my thing.
Just staying
overcommitted.
Yeah.
Overcommitted, yeah.
I do the same thing. Sometimes I'll book like 3 interviews in a day, and I'm like, why did I do this? And then I realize, the people I interview do like 20 to 30 a day sometimes. So it's not like it's too much for me compared to what you guys do, let alone in between tours and traveling. And, it's crazy,
Too much to do.
Yeah. Not
That's
enough.
The truth.
All for like an, hour and a half of showtime, you do all this shit during the day. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess talk about the lyrical content of the center that cannot hold. And from what I've read, a lot of it's very, very deep shit, which I love, but it's very personal, very, very dark. I guess, talk about some of the choice ones here. We don't have to run through the entire album if you don't want to, but we'll start with, I guess, the Bloody Tongued and Screaming. So that's an awesome song title anyway. So let's talk about the lyrical content for that one.
Lyrical content in general. This might be a cop-out answer, I know. But, for the most part, I prefer to not talk too much about what the content is specifically about.
Sure. Yeah.
And the reason for that is just because what I want for the listener to be able to do is to have an experience themselves through the music and have to do the work to interpret it a little bit.
Yeah.
So that way they can relate to it without the attachment too much to the artist.
Yeah.
But I will say, that a big part of my writing in general for the album is, at the time I was diagnosed with malignant melanoma.
Oh my God.
And I had, it's life for you.
Shit.
But I for like a year, I thought I was going to die, and so there was a lot that kind of affected my life from that experience and how I go about making choices and the internal changes that happened when you face the reality that you're dying, you might be dying. And then I did.
Yeah.
So that as well, what happens when you think that you're dying and you're not. And what lessons you take away from that and how that can affect your choices and how you go about living your life. So that's a big part of my writing for this record. And just like all the dark stuff you kind of go through with that. So there is that. There's, 'cause, 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 'cause there's some stuff from past, some experiences that I had that are also reflected in it, which I know that's it's probably the vaguest thing to do for all day, but like, it's they're very specific things that I don't talk to too many people about.
Sure.
It's like extremely personal, kind of hard to believe stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I might write a book about that one day, but as of now, I keep that sort of abstract through my writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's more or less about like my answers for like lyrical content for the record as a whole. And then I try to kind of keep this sort of vague in general, because I do want people to, as I've said, be able to have their experiences too.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Writing lyrics, it's more, like you said, I want other people to interpret it, but also to relate to in their own way. Because if you're just like, this is my experience, you might be able to relate to other people with your experience, but it's so much better when they can really not know exactly what you're talking about, and they can be like, oh, this is totally what I'm going through. It's more relatable that way when they don't know.
It also probably wouldn't make a ton of sense if I tried to describe it.
Right.
Partially because, like it's sort of hard to translate your old mindset into a new mindset,
Yeah.
Be able to perfectly describe where you were looking back. And that's part of the reason why I create stuff, is to kind of try to give it some kind of like a period in my life, some extent life in and of itself, so that moment can sort of be relived, such as
that's what this podcast is really about. I try to get into the actual feelings of like death and everything, and how, and grief, trauma stuff, and just how we can put that into like an art form, and how metal is more one of the best mediums for that kind of content, because it's hard to express those things, in a normal kind of music. I think this is just an ultimate form of expression, and I always find it interesting as a vocalist and lyricist myself, like just hearing other people's perspectives and how you guys are able to translate these feelings or what you've been going through into what you end up creating, in a Replacire or Dark Crown Initiate. It's just it's an interesting concept to me, to kind of shed light on that and how we do it.
Yeah, and there's 1,000 ways, 1,000 ways to do it.
And it includes
we used to do it a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit. So I guess, in the time frame that you were at, did you take time to not write at all, or did you just, that was something you just started doing right away?
Yeah, like I wasn't writing the whole time.
Yeah.
I had like bursts where I'd write a lot.
Yeah.
And most of my life, as a musician, I'm just, I don't write a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a doer, like I like to perform it, I just like to be a wild animal out there in the world and just travel, and go and do an experience. And so like I've toured, I played a lot of shows, still doing that, but creation for me is not something I've done a lot. Outside of, a lot of my creativity is in the performance of the thing itself. I would venture to say that most of my creativity as an artist has been through that. So, as far as writing goes, the Replacire record is a very dense, it was a very difficult album to make.
Yeah.
for a variety of reasons. And so the music is so technical, it's extremely technical.
Yeah, it took me off guard because I'll be honest, I hadn't heard him until Will suggested you guys, and I was like, oh, that's James. Like, I love that, Black Crown's dope. So check them out. I was like, this is way different. I did not expect it. It's great, but it is very technical to the point where I was like, I mean, certainly a challenge has to be to write to that style. It's just very unorthodox,
And these guys helped me through it,
Yeah.
And sort of guided me through that quite a lot. Because they're all a bunch of Berkeley nerds. So they're real good, really good, and very well educated on music.
Yeah.
It's all they do, that's what they do. And they're very excellent.
Yeah, I agree.
At it. Each in their respective roles, extremely excellent at it. And it's a very humbling experience for me. Well, maybe not that. But, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm a screamer. Like,
yeah.
I'm not, like, I'm a musician, I guess, but it's like, it's not really the same. I don't have to read anything.
Yeah, like they're the ones, just, it's like, do they just write an off time on purpose, or that's just the way they do it? It's crazy.
Yeah, they're very capable. I think it's good to explore your capability, and press your, press out your boundaries.
Yeah.
That's how you increase your boundaries. That's how you grow. I think you grow a lot when you write something that's challenging for you.
Absolutely.
And for Pohawk, everything just seems easy to him. So it's hard to really say if it really challenged him. It was a very dense writing process. And for me, like, it just required like some guidance from them at times. Sure. So off and on for the last 6 years. Or 5 years or 4 years, something like that. That sense of time is fucked.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's going to be more fucked here when you leave the airport too.
Yep.
Going through all the changes. And now, how long are you going to be in Europe for?
I'll be there for 1 month. We are playing a circuit of festivals.
Nice.
So I'll be there for about a month, and then I come back for 2 weeks, and then I go back again for 2 weeks.
Nice.
So that's how that's going.
And with the same band each time, or are you going with Replacire on shows too?
No, Replacire is not currently playing out, actually. Okay. So I've just been filling in for Ne Obliviscaris.
Okay.
For the last year. I went to Europe with them a year ago.
Yeah.
And did a tour with them. It was them and the Omnific and Asymmetric Universe.
Nice.
And Persephone. And then I did a tour with them in North America as well. With the Omnific and with Beyond Creation. It was a North America run last year, last fall. And now, going out with them again. So, gonna be there for a bulk of the summer. About half the summer, I would say.
Overbooked, ready to go.
Yep. Yeah, buddy.
And then as far as does Replacire have stuff coming up after you get back, or are they just kind of chilling? They got stuff maybe lined up?
I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to talk about that. I'm really, as far as plans go, we will see.
Okay.
That's basically what I can say. Being in a band these days is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And if at this post-COVID era, if you've not already crawled your way to above ground, it can be very hard financially.
For sure.
It's just not feasible. It's not, at a point, it doesn't really become, it's like irresponsible even.
Right.
For a grown adult to, stress the hell out of everyone who's close to them in their lives,
Yeah.
if that's how things are for you. You know, I think everyone's got a different situation, but being in a band is very hard. So I'm not really sure what the future holds there.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see, honestly. We'll see how this album does, you know, when it comes out, and kind of go from there. I think that's kind of the plan.
Yeah.
Without getting into the glorious. So, but yeah, man, you know, inflation and post-COVID boom of touring. It's just like, it's not the easiest time to be a band, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been difficult. You know, I've been interviewing for like close to 8 years, and I've seen it go from then till now. With how I talk to bands, it's so much different. Like, I wouldn't say it doesn't seem as fun or anything like that, but it's so much more. After dealing with that, there's so much more like uncertainty to things, and just financially, it's like, is it even worth touring right now? Or, you know,
I'm a big believer that things are what you turn to.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you've got some fucking grit, then you can stick through a lot.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I think you just have to decide for yourself whether you're doing it out of principle, or if you're doing it because it's the right thing to do, you know. And
sure, yeah.
Determination can be sort of hard because, you know, what lens do you decide to things through, you know. So, yeah, it's fun, man.
I mean, if you're passionate, you just got to put your balls on the table, you know. Do what you want to do.
Yeah. Yep. Literally.
You seem to be doing just that. So, you know, that's a good thing, you know.
I keep on it, man. I keep after it.
Yeah. And then what do you got lined up for Black Crown Initiate? Anything new with the Initiate camp with you guys?
That's another thing that I can't really talk about. There's like, that band just really got crushed by COVID.
Sucks.
Basically. So like that, you know, this is really hard to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot there I can't really say, unfortunately. Yeah. So
doesn't sound promising, but you know, hopefully, you know, we'll see. You're staying busy. That's all that matters right now. As long as you're still doing shit, man. You know, I'll follow your projects. You've always been a fucking killer vocalist. So
thanks, man.
You know, keep the support up wherever you're at.
I appreciate that, man.
Try not to overbook you too much. If you get something else out.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I'm, you know, we will see. You know, there's a lot of things I've got my hands in. So it's kind of hard to determine, you know, what the future of doing this kind of thing really looks like.
Yeah.
But I'm a voice actor too, and that's another thing that's I've been putting a lot of my time in.
Nice.
So I've got some stuff coming down the pipeline.
Nice.
For that as well.
Did you just start that venture of voice acting?
No, I've been doing that for quite a long time. I started that probably 15 years ago.
Oh wow.
And then I didn't pursue it very heavily when I was touring heavily.
Sure, yeah.
But you know, I had, when COVID struck, I had the opportunity to focus on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Did some video game stuff, and still doing that.
Sick. Yeah, that's something I've always wanted to do. That was like my main passion forever. So maybe one day I'll start doing it.
It's cool, man.
Yeah. So I like
it's a weird industry to get into. So,
yeah.
There's no linear path to get into.
Yeah.
Just gotta figure it out.
Yeah. Seems to me like you just kind of put it out all different channels and places and just kind of do it, you know, like I forget which website it is. You can just take little jobs and just do things, like whether it be commercial voice or cartoon voice or whatever, and you can just make your own little portfolio out of it and see what happens, you know. So
yeah,
maybe I'll start there. I'd like to do some like narration, like audiobooks or something. That'd be fun.
Just practice a lot and be willing to fail a lot.
Hey, that's
Just
a good
continuously,
thing.
just don't stop.
Fail and learn, But yeah, I want to thank you again for taking the time to
No problem.
come on here. It's been like I said, it's been a revolving door. We've been back and forth, so got it done. And again, really stoked for Replicire's album, The Center That Cannot Hold. It comes out June 21st, Season of Mist. Anyone in Europe can see James. Quite a lot of festivals to go. And hopefully you had, safe travels, and hope you have a killer time, and don't overbook yourself too much and try to enjoy it a little bit.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best, man.
But yeah,
thanks so much for your time as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.